This is Lieutenant Heverly. Can I help you?
Hi, my name is Carrie. My friends called me earlier today and told me about my mom, and that she, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I
Take your
just,
time.
she called and told me that my mom hurt herself.
Yeah, we are looking into it. And still with you now?
Yeah, she's in my apartment.
The small, quiet town of Binghamton, New York, was rocked by an incident so bizarre, so unimaginable, that it would leave the community in disbelief for years. A mother's tragic death seemed at first like a case of a desperate suicide tragic, but not entirely unheard of. Michele Neurauter, a loving wife and devoted mother of two, was found dead in her home. However, what followed was a disturbing investigation that would unearth a web of lies, manipulation, and dark secrets within the family. Michele's death was not what it seemed. In fact, her death revealed a sinister conspiracy that even the most seasoned investigators could not have foreseen. A seemingly perfect family was harboring secrets so dark that they would shatter everything. Was it suicide? Or was Michele Neurauter, the kind-hearted mother, the victim of an elaborate, chilling murder orchestrated by her own daughter? Let's dive into the investigation, the twists, and the shocking conclusion. Before we proceed, we want to express our deepest sympathy and condolences to the family and loved ones of Michele Neurauter, who fell victim to the abominable acts described in this case. The evening of January 10, 2018, began like any other. Michele Neurauter, a 50-year-old mother of two, spent the day at home, organizing her personal belongings, chatting with friends over the phone, and making plans for the future. At least that's what her family and friends thought. No one expected the phone call they would soon receive. It was late that evening when Michele was found by her husband, Thomas Neurauter. He walked into their bedroom to find her hanging from a beam in the ceiling, the faint glow of the bedside lamp casting shadows across her face. She was already gone. Initially, the authorities ruled the death as a suicide. They noted no signs of foul play, no struggle, no signs of violence. The scene appeared typical of a self-inflicted hanging. The town was struck with grief, but nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Family members mourned the loss of a woman they described as sweet, loving, and deeply devoted to her family. However, there was something unsettling about the entire situation. Michele had been planning a trip with her friends, attending regular social events, and looking forward to the future. She had been an active, engaged mother, and there was no indication that she was in any kind of mental distress. After hearing the news, Mary Lawson, one of Michele's longtime friends, said,
"Something's off. She was fine. We were talking about meeting up next week. She seemed happy. I just don't believe it."
Detectives took a closer look at Michele's life, including her relationships and personal history. As investigators delved deeper, they uncovered a family with a darker side than anyone could have anticipated. The Neurauter family, from the outside, had appeared to live the American dream, a comfortable home, successful careers, and a solid, if somewhat quiet, lifestyle. But the more detectives dug into Michele's life, the more they uncovered. Thomas Neurauter, Michele's husband, appeared cold and distant during questioning. He maintained that their marriage had its ups and downs, but claimed they were happy in the months before Michele's death. Investigators, however, discovered a series of financial problems and marital strains that had plagued the couple for years.
I know of that from past behaviors, that there was an occasion where Michele was having a tantrum that she would open the door and scream things down the stairs and then slam her bedroom door, and did that so many times, she actually broke the door frame from doing that she was just completely out of control.
But was this enough to drive Michele to take her own life? Or was there something more sinister at play? The investigation took a more personal turn when detectives focused on Michele's daughter, Sarah Neurauter. At first, Sarah seemed completely devastated by her mother's death. She spoke highly of her mother, describing her as an incredible woman who always put her children's needs before her own. But as detectives questioned Sarah further, they began to sense that something was off. Sarah's behavior during questioning was odd, almost too calm to rehearsed. When asked about her relationship with her mother, Sarah gave vague, emotionless answers.
"We had a good relationship. She was supportive,"
Sarah said, her voice flat. As investigators dug into Sarah's personal life, they discovered a shocking and disturbing truth. Sarah, who was 18 years old at the time, had been in a tumultuous relationship with her boyfriend, Jake. The relationship was unhealthy, marked by constant arguments and reports of violent outbursts. Sarah's boyfriend had a criminal history, and witnesses had reported seeing Sarah in public, angry and visibly upset after fights with him. Detectives obtained text messages between Sarah and Jake that painted a picture of an unstable, dangerous relationship. Some of the texts were chilling, such as one that read, "I can't wait for this to be over. My mom's in the way." Investigators uncovered more evidence. A text sent from Sarah to Jake the night of Michele's death, reading, "Tonight's the night." It became clear that Sarah was involved in orchestrating her mother's death. Sarah's motive was more than just rebellion. She had been planning to escape her mother's control and live life on her own terms. Michele had tried to intervene, warning Sarah about her boyfriend, but the intervention only caused more tension between them. In the days leading up to her mother's death, Sarah had been increasingly secretive, spending time with Jake and telling her friends and family that she needed space. Michele had caught wind of Sarah's plans and had become worried about the dangerous influence her boyfriend had on her daughter. It was this fear and the intervention that would set the stage for the tragedy that would unfold. On the night of January 10th, 2018, Sarah and Jake set their plan into motion. While Michele was in her room, Sarah lured her mother into a false sense of security. She told Michele that everything was going to be okay, that they would work things out. But as Michele entered her bedroom, she was ambushed by Jake, who strangled her. Sarah stood by, doing nothing to stop it, instead participating in the staging of the scene to look like a suicide. The next morning, Sarah found her mother's body and, as planned, staged the scene to make it appear as if Michele had taken her own life. They used a scarf to tie it around Michele's neck and hung her from a beam in the ceiling. Sarah acted like the distraught daughter, grieving in front of her family. The authorities were quick to accept the scene as a suicide, but the coldness and unnatural behavior of Sarah led detectives to continue their investigation. As the investigation continued, the evidence against Sarah began to pile up. Surveillance footage from neighbors showed Sarah and Jake arriving at the house late that night. Forensic evidence corroborated the theory that Michele's death was not self-inflicted. Witnesses testified that they had heard Sarah and Jake arguing loudly just days before the incident. Eventually, the breakthrough came when Sarah's phone was analyzed, revealing the disturbing texts and evidence that linked her directly to the crime. During a tense interrogation, Sarah eventually broke down and confessed.
"I didn't want to live under her rules anymore. She had to go."
Sarah Neurauter was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. Her boyfriend, Jake, was also arrested and charged with his role in the murder. Sarah's arrest sent shockwaves through the community. A once promising young woman, seemingly filled with potential, was now facing decades in prison for the brutal murder of her own mother. The trial was a media frenzy, with the world watching as Sarah's life unraveled in front of everyone. At trial, Sarah's defense team tried to argue that she had been coerced by her boyfriend, but the overwhelming evidence against her proved otherwise. The jury convicted Sarah of second-degree murder, and she was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. For Thomas Neurauter, Michele's husband, the loss of his wife and daughter was unbearable. His once perfect family had been destroyed in an instant. He had never imagined that his daughter would be capable of such violence, and he struggled to come to terms with the truth. As we close this chapter in the tragic story of Michele Neurauter, let us take a moment to reflect on the heartbreak, betrayal, and the lives forever changed by this devastating event. Though justice has been served, the pain will never truly fade. We pray for Michele's soul, that she may find peace in the presence of the Lord, and for her family, that they may heal from the darkness that once haunted them. May God's grace and love guide all those affected by this tragedy, and may Michele's memory inspire us to cherish those we love and protect them from harm. Thank you for joining us in this journey to uncover the truth. If you were touched by this story, please take a moment to pray for Michele and her loved ones.